Business Women Australia podcast show, the podcast that brings together industry leaders to discuss the latest trends, insights and strategies. So sit back and relax, let's get inspired by the amazing women who are shaping the future of professional women in Australia. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And welcome everyone to the Business Women Australia podcast show. We are both coming today from Perth, which is a glorious sunny day, and I have a most glorious sunny guest who is an intellectual property lawyer and has extensive experience in the full breadth of trademark matters and associated legal issues and disputes. Cheryl has a particular interest in assisting business owners with business owners clear, register and enforce their new business name. So this is a lot of information that Cheryl's put out that I've learned a lot on. So Cheryl helps people determine whether a potential name is available for use in the marketplace and registration on the trademark register, and advising on possible filing strategies in Australia and overseas in order to obtain the strongest and broadest protection. She's got professional experience in-house, having worked as a legal counsel on secondment for a major Australian telecommunication company as well. And of course, Cheryl is a prize-winning graduate of the University of Melbourne's internationally recognised Master of Intellectual Property Law. So if I stumble, I'm going to apologise because there's a lot that you've done here. You've also been winning the Pinkerton Scholarship for being the top student in international issues in intellectual property law, and also has an honours degree of Bachelor of Laws and Legal Practice from Flinders University, and is currently co-chair for Intellectual Property Society of Australia, New Zealand and WA Committee. So welcome, Cheryl, from DCC.
Hello. That's quite an intro.
And, it goes to show that if we need any information, on, intellectual property law, you are the person to go to. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, I'm so pleased to be here.
And I just want to do a little quick of a rundown. So like I said, before I spoke to you, I knew a little bit of, intellectual property law, marketing it, but I didn't realize quite the extent that it has on small businesses. So can you just do just a quick overhaul of what it is for people listening?
Yes, this is a question that I get whenever I go to a party, and then you inevitably get asked, what do you do for a living? And then I talk about intellectual property, and I always get asked, what is intellectual property? And people have a vague idea what it covers, but they don't really understand the specifics. So I'm more than happy to go through this. So intellectual property refers to creations of the mind. So it covers things like inventions, literary and artistic works, designs and symbols and names used by businesses. And the rights that attach to intellectual property protect these creations. So they give creators of intellectual property exclusive rights to use their creations, and usually for a certain period of time. And these rights typically include things like patents for inventions, copyrights for literary and artistic works, and trademarks for brand names and logos. And because I'm a trademark attorney, I have to go into what, in fact, is a trademark. And a trademark is any symbol or sign that distinguishes the products or services of a particular business from those of other businesses. And in Australia, trademarks can take a wide variety of forms. And under this legislation, they can cover things like any words, combination of words, including personal names and slogans, letters, numbers, images, logos, graphics. They can even cover scents and smells. So if a scent or a smell is associated with a particular product or service, that can potentially be registered as a trademark. Even colours can be registered as trademarks. So if we were to see the sole of a shoe, a high heels coloured red, we know which brand that heels come from. Even shapes and the packaging applied to particular products can be registered as trademarks. So COCA-COLA has a very distinctive bottle shape, and that's been registered as a trademark. And Toblerone, the chocolate bar, has a very distinctive sort of mountain shape. And I recently found out it's based on a mountain in in Switzerland, and that's registered as a shape mark in Australia. Even sounds are registered as trademarks in Australia. And I'm going to test you, Leanne. I'm going to put you on the spot. It's a safe space.
Oh.
I'm going to play some registered trademarks in Australia that are sound marks. So I want you to see, you can hear and then guess which company uses this sound mark.
Okay, so this one.
Yes.
If you don't know this, you're really not Australian, and you've never had Sunday sausage at Bunnings.
Well done, Leanne. Well done. 1 star for you. Well done.
Okay.
This one's going to go a bit back in the decade. See if you can pick up this one.
Whoa.
It's a food.
Yeah, I know. It's instantly taking me to Italy.
Yes, you're on the right track.
Not Legos? No.
Dolmio.
Oh, I was so close. Yes. I actually had the characters pictured in my mind from it as well.
Well done. Well done. Okay, how about this one?
MGM? No.
Have you got that one?
It's not MGM.
It is. Well done. At the start of the movie, we always hear that one.
Yes.
Okay, and I've got 2 more for you. That one's an easy one.
I'm loving it.
Yes, you are loving it. McDonald's. Yes, well done. This is a more recent one, and it was particularly important during COVID. Oh, it's not wanting to play for me. Oh, disappointing. Okay.
That's right, because I don't mind staying on a semi-winning streak.
Well, you've done very well, I have to say. I'll have to maybe send that around when we send around the podcast. That was actually the Netflix. Whenever you play Netflix, it would come on.
Yes, we know the Netflix sound on very well. Yeah.
Yeah, especially after COVID. I think everyone was streaming Netflix or some sort of streaming service.
And it is, and there's you don't realize how many of these snippets,
yes, get embedded in your mind.
And even with McDonald's, watching Survivor last night, and they came up with a 2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, which, I remember having a game that we did in primary school with that tune.
Oh, really?
So it's really clever marketing to ingrain in our brain.
That's right, and become part of our culture. Absolutely.
So now that I've hopefully passed your test.
Yeah. Pass with flying colours.
Yeah, these trademarks with this, why are they so important to businesses?
Oh, look, even if you're a startup business or an established business, the importance of trademarks just cannot be overstated. And this is something that big corporations already know. They know how important trademark protection is, but it's also valuable to smaller businesses as well. And a trademark registration can be one of your most valuable assets to a business. And this is because a trademark is a reflection of the goodwill and reputation associated with that business, and it tends to increase in value as the underlying business increases in value. So the more your business reputation grows, the more valuable your brand will be. And I talk to business owners, and when they start their business, they'll often open a business bank account, and because they need somewhere to put all their profits and distribute their money. But likewise, you need to be thinking about where are you putting all the goodwill that's associated with your business. And I like to think of a trademark registration like a bank account, because it's the trademark registration is holding all of the goodwill and reputation associated with your business. And that's what makes the trademark so valuable to the business. And it really ties in with that key function that I spoke about earlier, that trademarks ensure that the products or services that a business provides is distinguishable from those provided by its competitors. And to really illustrate what I mean by that point, I'll go through some examples. So, for example, we all heard of SONY. Imagine if SONY could no longer use the SONY trademark. And it just sold TVs, and they had no branding on there. Do you think that SONY could command a high price for its TVs if it didn't have the SONY trademark on there? It just wouldn't be able to. Imagine if you had some cravings for your favorite Cadbury chocolate bar, but none of the chocolate in the chocolate aisle of this local supermarket had the word Cadbury. None of them had the glass and a half graphic, and none of them had that purple chocolate wrapping on there. You just wouldn't be able to find that, that Cadbury chocolate bar that you've been craving. Or even if you wanted that cool, sweet taste of COCA-COLA and you went into the convenience store and there were no drinks that had that stylized COCA-COLA script on the beverage. And that would be very painful. It's painful for the consumer and frustrating that they can't rely on a trademark to identify the product or the service that they want. But you know what? It's even more painful for the owners of those brands, because people wouldn't buy their products and it would affect their bottom line. And I give those examples because it really illustrates the value of the brand. And it's the reason why large companies file their trademarks at the outset of their business. It really is a no-brainer for them. It's cheap, and they know the huge benefits that they get and the protection that their business names will get by getting registration, especially when compared to what the alternatives are.
And, we've realised the more and more we come along, especially you see it with social media coming out, and people are taking music especially and recrafting it and, ad-libbing to it or things like that. There's now more than ever more access to be able to try and bring these brandings to self, I guess.
Yes, and it's becoming more and more easy in this IT age where you can just copy and paste things. And I think that's why it's even more important for business owners to be aware of what IP assets they have and whether they're protecting them. And also to ensure that they're not taking the IP assets of other businesses.
So now we've kind of touched on it, but so registration is the best way to protect a trademark. So what do you think are the key benefits of registering the trademark of a business?
Yes. Well, trademark registration, it is the most cost-effective and efficient way to protect your trademark rights. And it's because it gives you a whole swathe of significant commercial advantages as well as legal rights. And one of the key benefits is the legal protection it provides. So a registered trademark gives you the exclusive right to use, to license and sell that mark. It means no one else in Australia can commercially use that trademark for the same goods or services that you have it registered for. And because of this, it really acts as a deterrent to others who might want a free ride off the growing reputation of a business. And it provides grounds for that business owner to take action, such as trademark infringement. Another thing I like to point out to business owners that is when you file a trademark registration, it's a national right. So you can stop other people in other states from adopting your name. So I think particularly in Western Australia, you might start a business here, but you're not perhaps ready to, start up the same business in Sydney, for example. But when you get it registered, it's national. So it will prevent other people from adopting that same mark in other states. Once you register the trademark, it's a publicly searchable right. So your registration will appear on the Register of Trademarks. So other competitors will take notice of your rights, well, especially if they're advised by a trademark attorney like myself, and they'll be deterred from adopting a name similar to yours. And that doesn't that you don't need to take any further action. There's no inconvenience to you. It's there putting others on notice that you have rights to that particular name. And finally, a registered trademark is an intangible asset, and it can really add to the value of your business, to the business bottom line. It can be licensed, franchised, sold, and it contributes to the overall value of your business.
And I think, there's a lot more to consider than people do quite understand. Like you said earlier on, people open up their bank account, you open your bank account, you get your ABN. They don't think the next logical step, once you've got your logo as well, is to now register that.
Correct.
It's almost like, completely claiming a house and land. You're containing your whole business as one.
That's right. That's a really good way of thinking about it. You can, sometimes I think about it as a bucket or as a bank account, but even you're like fencing off your property. It's in intellectual property in a way.
And we see it a lot of times, especially dealing with a lot of leaders, there's a lot of our IP out there to protect.
There is. And often business owners aren't aware that they can protect it, and they might encounter an issue later down the track where they want to take action, but because they haven't done these preparatory steps at the outset, it's a lot harder to take action. And not even that, it can be really time consuming and costly.
It's one of those things, it's better to secure the cost earlier on than pay for it later.
Exactly. It's so much cheaper as well. Not as painful.
So what do you think of some of the misconceptions or like the pitfalls in that businesses encounter with regarding their trademarks?
Yes. So we sort of touched on it just then, but I see business owners, they work really hard to build up their business. They invest a huge amount of time, money, energy in developing that perfect business name, acquiring the domain name, social media handles, creating the brand, and marketing that product or service to the public. But many times they forget to protect that investment, or the investment of their time and resources, by registering their trademark or any IP they might have, and then enforcing that. And I find that a lot of startups, especially, they just don't know about IP. They assume that it's something that's relevant to big businesses, or it's something that they need to consider a bit bigger. They're a bigger business. But really, IP applies to all businesses, whatever their size. And they usually have some form of IP, whether they realize or not. And so knowing those basics and having an understanding of how IP applies to their business can really help them avoid some costly mistakes. One thing that I come across quite often, and I think governments are trying to improve the information around this, is business owners think, I've registered my business name, I can stop others from using that as a trademark, and that's just simply not the case. So I really encourage business owners to educate themselves about, the basics of intellectual property, because you could be throwing away valuable assets. You might be infringing someone else's trademark rights. And by having that basic understanding, you come armed with questions that you might need to ask an IP expert, and that will save time and money in the long term. Often just having a quick chat with an IP expert, like myself, will clarify what you need to know or do to make an informed decision. And I know most IP lawyers will offer initial free, no obligation chat. So my key takeaway is, think about this question early, consult an IP attorney early in your process so that you can make sure all of your IP in your business is protected. It really should be one of your highest priorities, and it will really go a long way to securing one of the most valuable assets of your business.
And that's such a big thing, because, when you create a business, people create it usually comes from a place of passion.
Yes.
It comes of
creativity.
Wanting to give, creativity, and that is where your focus should be.
Yes.
Be able to create that. So to have someone who specializes, with your trademarks and your IP to come in and go, okay, well, this is great. We want you to put it all out there as much as you can.
Yes.
Let's help you to protect it.
Correct.
Because the last thing you want is to pour, and starting a business, you pour a lot of emotion.
Oh, yeah.
Much as a strategy, there's a lot of emotion and feelings tied behind that creation. So to have someone help you protect it,
absolutely,
just how important it is.
That is so true. And it just saves really costly mistakes down the track that can be easily avoided. So I really recommend speaking to an IP expert right at the outset when you've got some ideas about potential business names, etc., to run it past them, because there'd be nothing worse than, spending all this money and time and energy going behind all this branding only to find out that, someone else might have a similar mark, or you can't get it registered, you can't protect it. All important things to consider when starting a business, especially.
Fantastic. So people who are starting a business or have been in a business for a while that haven't been aware of this, we do have your information on our website. How else can people contact you?
You can email me, give me a call. I'm based in Perth. We've got an office here. You can come in, have a quick chat, have a coffee with me. I'm the only one from my firm here, so I do appreciate in-person catch-ups. So that would be nice too. But I'm happy to talk to anyone who has some concerns about the IP of their business. Even if it's not trademarks, they maybe have that covered. We deal with patents and copyright and that sort of thing as well, even more complicated questions.
Well, I think this may be even a future webinar where we can actually bring business people into so you can answer their questions, I think.
Absolutely. I would love that.
But thank you so much for your time today. As always, we always have a good chat when we get on together.
Yes.
And I look forward to our next one.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you. And everyone who's listening, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you.
See you. Bye.